Hello everybody, Shocking this 1000 of Pony with Duty. Welcome back to another episode of my Bullion Diamond Hooplocke Nuzlocke. Last time, we made a little detour back to Pastoria City to do a main story objective I completely forgot to do. But, we got it this time, and we've also completed the challenge to catch ourselves a fairy type Pokemon, and finally gotten ourselves Togepi. Shame it is a brave nature, but I can learn to live with it having Serene Grace for the ability. We're going to add this Togepi to our team immediately, and sorry Chad, I'm going to have to switch you out. We'll get... Do you know what? Let's use the sync item. I was going to save this for Baneri, but I don't need it now. We'll give it to Togepi. We'll also give Togepi the Soothe Bell. And... yeah. We're going to teach Togepi Flamethrower. We'll get rid of Double Edge. We will also teach her Psychic. We'll get rid of After You. And we'll leave it as that because I want the other two moves to be 50% stab moves that it learns by leveling up. Which I'll have a little quick look on real quick. Right, okay. Oh wow, you don't even learn any fairy moves by leveling up. Alright. Where's that Dazzling Gleam TM? There it is. Teach that to you in exchange of Metronome. Up we go. Oh dear. Okay, I was actually going to say, if I suddenly got ambushed by a Mime Junior after when I just the second completed the challenge, I was going to be livid. But at the same time, I probably would have laughed. But yeah, we have Ninja Boys here. There are 3 of them in all. Kid, you know it's not applicable for you to be throwing rocks? Why am I saying stop throwing rocks? It's not a sensible thing for you to do. Because honestly, true fact, kids, if you're watching this, don't throw rocks at people because it can cause serious brain damage. It could also kill people. So, whatever you do, don't throw rocks at people. Just don't. In fact, don't throw anything at kid. Don't throw anything at anyone. Apart from if you're making snowballs and you're having a snowball fight with each other. Because I know making a snowball and then having a snowball fight, there's nothing wrong about that. It's just basically your method of having fun. So, throwing stuff at people that mean no harm, that's fine. So basically snowballs, water balloons, that's fine. Even throwing a tennis ball to have each other try and see how many times you can catch it, that's fine. But if you're deliberately using something as a weapon that could cause harm to your friends or other people, don't do it. Now, these are the kind of Pokemon that Ninja Boys would oftentimes use. Actual poison-type Pokemon. In reference to Koga being the Kanto poison-type gym leader, who then became an Elite Four for the Johto games and had his granddaughter Janine take over. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to get my repels. I would honestly say, like, with all of the repels that you can basically buy, Max Repel is technically the best because it prevents you from running into low-level wild Pokemon under 250 steps. But in my honest opinion, I would honestly go for the Super Repel because it basically prevents you from being jumped on by wild Pokemon under 200 steps, but also is cheaper. Why would you... Well, basically, comparing a Super Repel to a Max Repel, a Max Repel is more expensive by like more than, I don't know, 200 or possibly 400 Pokédollars. When you can basically get Super Repels for cheaper, plus the fact that, well, you don't really want to be spending like 200 or so more just to avoid wild Pokemon spaces by 50 more than what the original one would have done. So, yeah, what you saw me do there was basically using the hidden move of Defog. If you didn't, you would have to be dealing with that fog in the battle, and it limits your ability to have your Pokemon hit your opponent. And I tell you, when it comes to accuracy, the AI always gets the benefit of the doubt. Because the fog doesn't bother them, but it always bothers us. I can't say for definite that the fog weakens the Pokemon's accuracy of moves by 50%. Because that's pretty much a bit too over the top. Okay. A Scolipede, 2 Zubat, and a Golbat. Right, I'm going to give Gardevoir a little bit of a rest. I'm going to put Petunia in the lead with Terrell, because we got an upcoming double battle coming up, which are those two ace trainers over there. Fair enough. Oh, you have a Growthall. Well, that's interesting. Alright then, let's send out Terrell then. Oh, really? Come on! My Pokemon has the ability to boost the likelihood of it getting critical hits, not getting hit by critical hits. I mean, I will say, if there was an ability that boosted the likelihood of your opponent getting critical hits on you, that was not a benefit of them having Super Luck. Like, because obviously we know the ability of Super Luck boosts the likelihood of the user getting a critical hit. But thankfully there's not an ability that boosts the likelihood of opponents from getting critical hits without the need of them having Super Luck themselves. There we go. So these ace trainers have a Raichu and a Gyarados. Oh boy. Okay, well, I made the right choice of going for Torterra anyway. But I will definitely say, that's basically one way of trying to bait you into using Earthquake while having an electric type on your team to do super effective damage on your Pokemon as well as your Raichu. Okay. Nice, I'll take that critical hit. We'll use Earthquake to get rid of that Raichu. Right, I hope that they don't do a gang attack on Honchkrow. I really hope they don't. Let me see, look at that. I got over 1,000 experience for Torterra and Honchkrow for knocking out that Raichu. But if I knocked out Gyarados, it would have given me a lot less. Waterfall. Okay, good. You didn't do a gang attack. That allows me an opening to heal up Terrell while finishing you off with a Night Slash. The one thing I never really understand is, why is it that the ace trainers always have to have green hair? I don't really get that. Right, let's switch out Torterra for Luxray. Because I had a feeling that he had a Pokemon that was going to easily counterattack my Torterra. Oh, great! I'm not switching into Terrell, hoping that he's going to be dumb and use a ground type move, because he could easily just bait me by using a rock move and having me switch into the super effective attack rather than switching into an immunity. Nice! I got a critical hit because of happiness between me and Torterra. Good job, Torterra. Nicely done. Now, I'm not expecting that one level up for Excellent, the Togepi, to immediately evolve. Because it does start with a good base happiness. But I think its base happiness to evolve it is a little bit higher than what it starts off with. Nice. Torterra, you are definitely rocking the house for my team here. No wonder why this Nuzlocke has felt easy for me. Because literally, off camera, after the whole scenario of Gengar being knocked out because of Floatzel, I did actually feel like that this Nuzlocke was actually going a bit too easy for me. But then again, this is the very first time that I'm ever doing a Hooplocke. And it's also, like I said, the very first Hooplocke to ever exist on YouTube. It would be to no surprise, honestly. No, we don't need another one. It would be no surprise to me, honestly, if I basically made a Nuzlocke that actually makes Nuzlocks too easy. But anyway, TM30 Shadow Ball. Unfortunately, is the only Shadow Ball TM you'll ever find. Even though Togepi can learn it, and even though Croagunk can learn it, I always teach Shadow Ball to Psychic-type Pokemon. So I'm teaching it to Gardevoir and getting rid of Life Dew. If Gardevoir actually had Mystical Fire instead of whatever the other move was, I can't remember what it had. But whatever move the Gardevoir had, if it instead had Mystical Fire, I would have the exact perfect moveset for my Gardevoir. Right, so this is a Ninja Boy, so we'll bring Gardevoir back in. I don't get why they have to, like, hide completely in the ground and cover their entire body up. I'm not going to switch out Gardevoir because I think the next trainer I'm going to be fighting will be a black belt. Yeah. And then there's another Ninja Boy down there. I think I just know the Sinnoh region too well because of how often I played a game of it. So I got that going for me. $333 experience for Togepi. I know you're probably thinking, like, there is actually a place I've not been to that I technically can go to. Where the Hollow Tower is, where we dropped off that odd keystone. There is a tower north of it that you are by force able to see when on the approach of Solaceon Town. We could technically go there, but to be honest, you have to go there if you're playing Pokemon Platinum. But if you go there in Diamond and Pearl, you're basically going there for no reason. Because there are basically two NPCs that you talk to at the very top. And they both give you an item. I think one of them gives you a spell tag, which does the exact same thing as what the Spooky Plate does, which we already have. Well, we don't have the spell tag, but we have the Spooky Plate. And if the Spooky Plate does literally the exact same thing as what the spell tag does, which is boost the power of ghost moves, then not really worth your time having. And the other one being a cleanse tag, which if you give it to the Pokemon in the leading slot of your party, the chances of wild Pokemon to show up will be minimal. Like, I think wild Pokemon would still technically show up, maybe, but it basically just says in the item description, prevents wild Pokemon from ambushing you as long as it's in the leading slot of your party. So yeah, you basically get the spell tag and the cleanse tag. Though what is actually kind of funny is in the anime of the Carlos region, when Ash and company went inside this haunted house and they got dropped off inside this room that there was no way for them to ever get out, because the one and only door that allowed them to get out of the room was completely taped up with cleanse tags all over the place. A bit silly really, but yeah. Right, I'm going to battle this guy. Now, the only problem is, this guy, we actually have no idea what typing he specializes in using, because Fetchwins just use whatever, basically. I would have been alright keeping Tigray in, but just in case if it happened to be a ground type, at least I had Torterra as a backup. There we go. Let's Weasel down. 2 Pokemon left. Hey, another critical hit. Then again, Razor Leaf does have a high critical hit ratio anyway, so we'll still take it. Right, Jane to learn Calm Mind. That basically raises the user's special attack and special defense up by 1 stage. I would rather keep Charm, because Having a move that's a guarantee to drop the opponent's physical defense by 2 stages is definitely a lot better than a move that raises your special stats by 1 stage. So I got a little bit distracted for a second then because I was looking outside and I saw a bee flying around outside in my back garden, which can only mean one thing. If you ever see a bee, that's the sign that spring has started. Because I would definitely say all week, this week and last week, we have been dealing with nothing but cold weather the whole majority of March. Like last Friday, we was dealing with what almost felt like a snowstorm. Because it was actually snowing on Wednesday to Friday. And it was absolutely freezing cold. And you would have thought that at the start of this week, everything would have been nice and warm. But no. Instead, it was still freezing cold and raining. But anyway, we've gone over the time limit. And we've basically made it to the end of Route 210. So, walking past here, we'll make our way to Celestic Town. Next time on my Hooplocke Nuzlocke, we'll look for the Elder to give the old charm to. See you guys then.